Okay, we're back. The screen's back. Susie's internet's back. If you missed the first part, we were talking about basically a life story experience starting the Primal Pantry, the Keto Collective, and we were up to talking about the direct-to-consumer side versus retail, starting a healthy snacking company. And I believe we were talking specifically about which marketing strategies have been important for growing the brand to date on the D2C side. So let's pick it back up there. Jump right in.
Yeah, sure. So I think the first thing is budget. Our budgets are still small. You know, we've not put any capital investment in the business. We put a tiny bit in just to get the first production run off the ground, and so spend is pretty much, you know, when we sell the product, we invest any bit of profit back into spending more to drive more sales of the product. So at this stage, spend is focused on Amazon, Amazon ads, Amazon keywords, Amazon storefronts, branded ads, etc. Facebook. Up until now, because I've disabled my Facebook account, so my ad account, so we'll help to get that back up and running. So the purpose of that is really to drive new traffic to the website. And then the other one is obviously Google. That's where we're sort of actively doing sort of advertising / marketing in that sense. And then the only other place where we invest money is obviously in the Klaviyo newsletter software. So that's pretty much it at this stage. We invest a little bit in sampling. So when I say sampling, all I really mean in our sense at the moment is when someone orders a box of one flavor, they'll get another flavor for free to try. But otherwise, it's very, very straightforward, a little bit of digital marketing at this stage.
So I assume when you say sampling, we're talking about 1 or 2 bars, not a whole box for free.
Yeah, no, not a whole box for free.
I'll be putting an order in tonight itself.
Yeah, not a whole box for free. So we do, I suppose you could say that our newsletter database, what we do on the website is if you sign up for the newsletter, you get 15% off your first order. So that's another element of marketing that we do. But really the focus is on keyword search and sort of Amazon, Facebook retargeting ads.
So I'm assuming the margin, if you're giving away 15% on the first order, and obviously how much you have to pay to Facebook and Instagram, the margin must need to be healthy to make a profit in a company, but especially this type.
Yeah, there's two sides. I mean, you've got to believe in the product, you know, so we need to look at and think, you know, is it a case of do we need to make our money back on the first sale, or do we need to make our money back on the idea that we know that X amount of customers will come back and then purchase again? You know, so for our Facebook ads, we've got a target of, you know, cost to add to basket and cost to purchase. Amazon's pretty straightforward. You know, you can measure straight away. Well, the Amazon one's interesting because it only measures the sale if it's made within the first 7 days. So it doesn't measure, you know, does that customer come back and buy again, or does that customer purchase on day 8, for example? And then obviously Google as well is the metrics and the conversions are very easy to track and see the effectiveness of the ad itself.
What's the attribution window on Facebook at the moment?
Say that again.
What's the attribution window on Facebook at the moment?
What do you mean?
How long until they obviously claim credit for the sales?
I don't know actually. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know.
I'm sure it was obviously with the recent updates on iOS. I'm sure there was to the tracking window as well. I need to double check though.
I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure. But otherwise, they've all been pretty effective. They've all been pretty effective in driving traffic.
He's planning to concentrate more on the D2C side as opposed to going down the retail route, I assume, this time around. Yes, definitely.
I mean, we wouldn't say no to a listing in the more sort of specialist stores, the Whole Foods and Planet Organics. But you know, there's some that, without naming names, there are some chains that just cripple the small guys. You know, we haven't got the money to give free stock and crazy margins and marketing spend in magazines that no one reads, and you know, so I mean, we were kind of with the mindset, you know, if you want the product, then buy it essentially, and we'll supply it to your store. But otherwise, the sphere in the headroom in D2C, there's so much to grow at this stage, and that's just the UK. That's not even you know, doing it in Europe and the US and Australia and Singapore and other markets that are also growing in the D2C space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I almost feel as though they're neglected markets as well, that people should put more attention on them because they're all growing rapidly. As you said, the lifestyle spreading over there. You mentioned that the specialist stores. So what is the additional benefit, for example, a Whole Foods or Planet Organic compared to, say, Sainsbury's or Tesco's, for example?
I think it's because of the how niche the product is, being a keto product. I don't think, I could be wrong, but it's, how ready are the retailers for something that specialist? Certainly 10 years ago it would have been specialist, and it's the same with when we launched a paleo product. We went into a free from section because gluten-free and dairy-free was the growing area, and now healthy snacking is the growing area. So when you go into a Planet Organic or a Whole Foods, they have keto sections in store. Boots do as well, actually, to be fair. I just, at the moment you approach Sainsbury's, where would we go in store in a Sainsbury's? Where's the right part for us to be? And if it was front of store, how do we show that we could be as, as successful as a Primal bar or a Grenade bar or a Fulfill bar or a Kind bar, that's already taken up that shelf space.
Yeah, it's difficult. Fierce,
yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about diversifying the product range. When is the right time to do this? Should you do it? Is it necessary? And I mean, we can come on to this at the end. What would your advice be to other people in the fast-moving consumer goods space?
They've naturally always been very impatient, so it's always been a case of, in fact, when we launched the first 3 Primal bars and we launched the first 3 keto bars, we didn't really do any market research at all. It's pretty much personal opinion. What flavors do we like? We researched as to what was out there, and but we didn't do any focus groups. We didn't try and recruit people in to ask lots of questions as to what we should do. We just kind of thought, what's the worst that could happen? Do it, see what happens. If people like it and they come back, then we can start working on the next thing. And sometimes the second MPD is never as good as the first MPD, but it's always good to have things up your sleeve.
How do you offset that risk though if you're not sure?
Kind of just, I mean, it's not a fresh product, so you'd like to hope that if you're not sure, you'd still have a year or 9 months to sell it. I suppose there's enough information out there when you look at what the competition are doing, what's missing from the fixture, what people are saying in certain Facebook groups that they want, to know where the gap is ultimately. And it's kind of like, it's that, I can't remember what the book is, but it's that minimum viable product. It's just getting something out there to see if it works.
Yeah.
The lean startup, that's what it's called.
Style, yeah.
And and then you can tweak it as you go along, which we did do. One of the keto recipes, we did have to change it straight away. We made the first production run. I think when we made, I can't remember how many thousand bars of each recipe, we only got I think we only got a couple of hundred. In fact, we only got a couple of hundred of the chocolate sea salt bar, and so we had people waiting to buy them, and we didn't have a recipe that was good enough. And we decided, shall we still send it out to them and tell them there's an improvement? So we sent it to them anyway. It's tasted fine, but it just wasn't as good as the other 2. And we just said, we are working on an improvement. Let us know what you think. And then everyone that purchased that particular flavor got a free sample of when the new one arrived to see if they thought it was better.
Yeah.
So,
trusting your gut and intuition, I suppose.
There's always going to be the need to change packaging. There's always going to be, you change it once and then very quickly there's another reason to change it. That's all part and parcel with running any consumer packaged brand, essentially, any product related business.
Let's go off to Rod. Do you see keto as a trend that is continuing to grow?
Yes, I do. I think I mean, like I said, you know about it sort of 15 years ago. I was practicing it. Actually, it's more than 10 years ago. So it's back in 2000. Well, it was 2008, 2010 when I was practicing it for nutrition purposes, and it was unheard of. I mean, no one would have known what the word keto, whatever it would have been. But there's various trends that are going to carry on, whether it's plant-based living, whether it's a vegan lifestyle, whether it's a keto lifestyle, whether it's the fact that you follow a keto lifestyle because it's all about sugar and want to reduce your sugar intake, whether it's the fact that you want to just start to eat more real food, more local food, or reducing overall carb intake. I think more and more information is now coming out of the food industries, various countries' food industry guidelines that are sort of leaning more towards a a sort of semi-keto based approach.
Yeah.
There isn't a lot of scientific literature pointing in its direction, so there isn't a lot of negative press about it now that there used to be.
Yeah.
There's people have become more vocal in the medical profession and the nutrition profession with regards to its benefits. And it might not be for everyone. It's not easy to implement. It's certainly not like a cheap or low cost lifestyle as well. Yeah. It's not, it's expensive for many people, especially if you're trying to source well reared meat, local, organic, if you want to go to that sort of level. But for me, it's, it kind of rings true to the primal side as well. The passion is really about just real food, no bullshit, no crap, no, it's just food that you can, ingredients that you can see and you can pronounce. And we're not hiding away from the fact that you can make these products at home because the ingredients can be bought and stuck in your cupboard, so we're just there to give, great tasting products at an affordable price. We do get people ask. I had a few people asking on a Facebook ad that I ran, why are they expensive? They're £1.30 a bar. Real food ingredients are not cheap. Whole food ingredients are not cheap. We don't have bulking agents. We don't use artificial sweeteners. Those things are cheap, essentially. Unfortunately, even though they fall under healthy snacks and they're not a cake, they're vatable. So there's 20% on them as well. So, we're nicely priced to make us competitive, but we're priced that, if they were any cheaper, then there won't be anywhere to buy them from because we need to run a business. So
business, absolutely.
Yeah.
How about yourself personally? Are you full keto every day of the week, or because I remember, God, this is going back like 12 years, I think, where I first did keto. I used to be big, actually, like a bodybuilder. Not now, I'm tiny, but I did keto for about, it must have been about 6 weeks, and it was great. I actually really enjoyed it because I found it quite easy to stick to. Thought my breath was a bit weird when I first went onto it. That was one thing I remember. But yeah, overall, it was really easy to adhere to. But I remember on the weekend, I was sort of carb cycling back to replenish the glycogen. And then obviously I would use that to fuel me through the week and then deplete it. And it was more of a fat loss thing as opposed to a lifestyle thing at the beginning.
I suppose, what's the saying? 100% keto 80% of the time, essentially. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I love my food, and everyone can adapt to it in different ways. Whether you are carb cycling and you're having certain carb days or carb refeed days every couple of weeks, depending on what your personal goals are. Whether you're incorporating fasting into it as well, which is highly recommended because it's you only really have to think of sort of 1 to 2 sort of main meals a day, it's not. I personally haven't found it difficult, but I can fully understand that people could find it difficult. Certainly to begin with, as well. I
actually find when you restrict certain foods completely and just move them out of the equation, it makes the diet or the guidelines easier to follow because there's no ambiguity. You just don't eat carbohydrates. It's quite simple, I find, but obviously everybody's different.
Yeah, or focus on what you can have. Essentially, always works. And then
you're still, thanks Rod, I really appreciate that. I like to think so, but I have to wear these baggy t-shirts these days. Okay, so anyone else starting out in this industry, what would your advice be to them?
You've got to have a product that fills a need, definitely. You can't just you can't just sort of source a product, get it made, build a Shopify site, put it on Amazon and expect it to sell on its own. So the product's got to have a need. That particular product's got, if it's a food product or a drinks product, it's got to not only meet that need, it's got to taste good. They've got to have to, have a reason to come back and to purchase it again. There's a brand building and storytelling element as well. There's got to, the keto product's a very rational product. People are buying it because it fits their lifestyle. It has a certain amount of net carbs. It ticks a macro box. It tastes good, but ultimately there has to be more than that. There has to be an emotional connection as well, where they want to actually buy into the brand, and actually follow the story, which is very much where we were with the primal focus at this stage. it's difficult. I mean, well, like I said, we got off the ground with next to no capital, essentially. But we're fortunate in that we have been in this space for a long time, so we know how to, do the packaging right from the beginning with the right supplier, work with the products with the right supplier. Because when you're new, especially if you're coming into it with no experience whatsoever in the space, you need to sell your product and your dreams to the manufacturer so they believe in you from day one. Because ultimately they need to be on board if they're going to help you make a product, which ultimately you're going to sell. I've never been fan of the make it at home and then try and sell it that way.
Yeah.
I've always kind of gone down the approach of, go get it contract manufactured from day one.
Yeah.
Because then you can see the true value of the product. You can see how much it's really going to cost. There's nothing worse than making it at home or making it in a small kitchen and then upscaling it, and then you have to change the product.
Yeah.
In that sense. So find a business partner is always key. Find someone else that can bring some other value to the table, things that you can't do. Not probably a great space to be in all alone as well. But it depends. It depends where you're coming from, what background you're coming from. There's so much resource out there, especially in the food and drink space. There's the Food Hub, there's the Bread and Jam group, there's Young Foodies. There's loads of resource and groups and networks of people that are helping each other out that are launching into this space, because food and drinks are great category to be in. Yeah.
And I think even though it is massively competitive, there's still, it's still growing, the actual healthy angle. It's not fading away. And I think it's becoming more of a dominant thing. So definitely still room for people to get in.
Like definitely. There's so many points. It's finding sort of the next thing, whether it's, kombucha or zero alcohol drinks or, obviously keto products, or plant-based or lab-grown or whatever it might be. There's space elsewhere to get in, because we can do it quicker than the big guys can.
Yeah.
Is the main thing.
Yeah.
The big guys don't inherently, and when I'm talking big guys, I'm talking the big food and drink manufacturers. They're inherently rubbish at launching. They can launch a new SKU in their range, or a different flavor or a different variant, but when it comes to launching a new brand off the ground, there's lots of examples where ones have done it and have failed because they don't have a connection with the consumer. They don't have a connection. There's no founder story. There's no passion there to ultimately get it off the ground, and consumers today see through it. They really do. It's just a big guy that's launching into the space with a brand that they've just pulled out of nowhere.
Yeah, like Mars Bar Protein or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's an example of one where they've extended their range, just kind of jump on the bandwagon. But all these companies, Mars have it. They either buy the smaller companies, and that's works well for them, or they try and launch a small brand under their umbrella, and that's where it becomes, they almost put too much process into it, takes too long to do, completely miss the boat. Stick it on a supermarket shelf, put it on TV thinking it's going to work, and sometimes it just doesn't quite cut through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Out of curiosity, do you have any knowledge about coffee?
Coffee? I drink a lot of it. I used to work at one point
penetrating the markets, because like sort of Nespresso compatible coffee pods and stuff like that. You think that's not saturated as well, or do you think there's room to get in?
I think there's still room to get in, especially on the sustainable side.
Yeah,
definitely. I don't know much. Essentially, there's a lot of coffee players at the moment. On the pod side,
Grind, I think, is the big one, isn't it? From London. Yeah. But it's finding that niche. It's on the D2C side. Coffee's great because they have it every day. You can get it in the home, and you can get it on subscription. Yeah.
Then it works. But there's a lot of players in that space, and apart from drinking a lot of it, I don't know too much about it.
Just curious, personal interest. Cool. Okay. How can people find out more, Suzie? What's the website? Where can people buy these great bars?
So the website is www.keto, so keto-co.com. Obviously, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Amazon, all the social platforms. The full brand name is Keto Collective.
And what's the 50% off code for LinkedIn people?
Oh yeah, I'll set one up. I need to set one up.
LinkedIn 50.
Yeah. So, oh God,
Cool.
yeah.
Okay, thanks very much for your time. I'm going to tag
thank you
in this post. Obviously, if anyone has any question for Suzie, just feel free to follow up and leave a comment, and hopefully she'll be able to get back to you. Suzie,
thank you very much.
Thank
you. Bye.